Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on The Merchant of Venice, and today we get to hear from Gratiano in Act 1, Scene 1. So we are in Venice, and this guy Antonio was chatting with his friends, either Salario and Solanio or Salario and Salarino, depending on which version you're reading. And the two guys whose names start with S's were trying to figure out why Antonio is so sad. And he says it's not because he's worried about his merchandise that is spread out on several ships across the ocean. And it's not because he's in love. And they're like, well, then I guess maybe you're just sad because you're the kind of person that's sad. Maybe that's a thing. At which point, Lorenzo and Gratiano and Bassanio come up, and apparently Bassanio had been looking for Antonio, which we'll get to in just a second. But at their arrival, the two guys whose names start with S's are like, oh, okay, here's your other better friends, so we'll see you later. And niceties are exchanged amongst everybody. And those two leave, the guys whose names start with S's leave. And Lorenzo and Gratiano and say to Bassanio, they're like, oh, okay, we found your friend Antonio for you, so we'll take our leave of you also, which is how we know that Bassanio was looking for Antonio, because they're friends. And Gratiano and Lorenzo are just friends of Bassanio's. And they're getting ready to leave, but then Gratiano looks at Antonio, and he's like, you have sort of a sad thing going on right now. What's all that about? And Antonio is like, well, maybe that's just my part to play. Maybe the whole world is a stage and the part that I'm supposed to play is a sad one. Which you might think is like a throwback or a call out to As You Like It, but no, Merchant of Venice was actually written about 4 years before As You Like It. But it is entirely possible that this cute little exchange of all the world is stage and this is the part that I have to play in it, and the way that Gratiano's speech starts out is also with the part that he's supposed to play in it. It's possible that this was a seed planted in Shakespeare's head where he's like, oh, that's a cool idea, I should maybe expound on that later in another play. And then 4 years later when he wrote As You Like It and he had the opportunity to write another just generally melancholy character, he pulled that little nugget right out and decided to use it. But anyway, Antonio was like, well, you know, the world, lots of people get to play their parts and maybe my part is a sad one. So Gratiano says, let me play the fool. With mirth and laughter let old wrinkles come, and let my liver rather heat with wine than my heart cool with mortifying groans. Why should a man whose blood is warm within sit like his grandsire cut in alabaster? Sleep when he wakes, and creep into the Johnsies by being peevish? I tell thee what, Antonio, I love thee, and it is my love that speaks. There are a sort of men whose visages do cream and mantle like a standing pond, and do a wilful stillness entertain with purpose to be dressed in an opinion of wisdom, gravity, profound conceit, as who should say, I am, sir, an oracle, and when I ope my lips, let no dog bark. Oh, my Antonio, I do know of these, that therefore only are reputed wise for saying nothing, when I am very sure if they should speak, would almost damn those ears, which hearing them would call their brothers fools. I'll tell thee more of this another time, but fish not with this melancholy bait, for this fool gudgeon, this opinion. Come, good Lorenzo, fare you well a while. I'll end my exhortation after dinner. So what he's saying is, if you're going to sit there and be sad, I'm going to make a joke out of it. And I'm going to say, you know, why you are alive. Why are you sitting there just being so still and boring like a statue? He's like, you know what, I'll tell you what. And I say this with all the love in my heart. There are people that walk around looking all melancholy so that other people will think that they're smart and know what they're talking about. And they sit there and they're only really thought to be smart because they don't ever actually say anything. Because if they did actually ever open their mouths, people would find out that they're actually probably very stupid. I sort of love this speech for that reason. It's just a lovely looking into human nature and looking into, you know, like the weepy emo poser type character, and Gratiano is totally calling those guys out and saying, yeah, this is it. And he finishes by saying, Antonio, like, running around being the sad guy all the time is not going to earn you respect. It's not the way to go. Like, yeah. But then he says, he encourages Lorenzo to go with him because Antonio and Bassanio need to speak. Remember, Bassanio was looking for Antonio. So he's like, come on, Lorenzo, let's go have dinner. And Lorenzo's like, yeah, maybe if I could get a word in edgewise, you could hear my opinion too. And Gratiano's like, in a couple years, I'll let you talk. And the niceties are exchanged, and they leave. And then tomorrow, we get to hear what Antonio and Bassanio are talking about. And let me tell you this, it's not merchandise. It's a little bit money. It's not the existential nature of man. They start talking about girls. So we'll get into that tomorrow. I'll see you then. Mwah.